Okay, and we are on. Hello, Suzanne.
Hello, Dom.
Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce you to Suzanne Spooner, who is today with us from
Des Moines, Iowa, in the United States.
Hello, welcome to Scotland. Suzanne Spooner is an explorer of human consciousness through meditation, hypnosis, and through channeling. And today we would like to focus on quantum hypnotherapy. Suzanne, so my first question is, when was the first time when you actually just heard, not started practicing, but just heard about quantum hypnotherapy?
Well, that's actually a kind of a funny story. Dolores happened to me, Dolores Cannon, she's the amazing woman who created quantum healing hypnosis technique. She happened to me about a year before I was ready for her.
Okay.
So like almost, most of us, I would assume, somehow she came up on my YouTube. I didn't click on her. I didn't know what QHHT was. But what caught my attention with Dolores was that she looked just like my grandma. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people relate to her that way. She just has this universal grandma appearance to her. And so because my grandma had just passed, I was really, focusing on her, kind of marveling at the similarities between the two of them. And then I started hearing what she was talking about. And she was talking about UFOs and ETs and abductions, and I just wasn't ready quite to go there yet.
Yeah.
I think this is back in like 2011. Mm-hmm. 2011. So I closed the YouTube down. I'm like, well, that was just weird, but okay. And a year later, I was actually driving home from seeing a really great spiritual speaker in Chicago, which is about 5 hours away from me. And it's a boring drive, and I wanted to listen to something. So I pulled up a YouTube interview of a lady that I really enjoyed watching her interviews, and she happened to be interviewing Dolores.
Wow.
And I'm like, I remember her. But this time she was talking about one of her Convoluted Universe books. I think at that time it was Convoluted Universe Book 2. Now, those topics I really understood and was interested in. And I was now at my spiritual journey had moved a little bit, and I wasn't so confused about the ET thing. I was kind of into it.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. And as I listened to that interview, it struck something in me. And what I loved about her work was that she wasn't giving the answers to others. She was helping guide people to find their own answers within, which I felt was incredibly empowering. And that's what moved me forward in my journey to be where I'm at today.
Right. I mean, you actually answered my second question, which was if you actually felt instantly that quantum hypnotherapy is something for you. But thank you for sharing your experience. And I absolutely agree with you, because I actually became familiar with Dolores just over a year ago. And my first interaction was like, what? My brain was, squeezing and shaping in the form of a pretzel, as she actually says. You always take just a little amount of the knowledge, don't take everything at once. And she was so right. And I'm so glad to hear your experience, because I think so many people can relate. People who either met her or just knew her through the videos, they actually always speak in the same way, that she had this, warm aura around her. And as you said, she wasn't given the knowledge, rather a guidance, which I believe she's still doing to many. So yes. Here's to Her Majesty Dolores. Yes.
Right.
So Suzanne, when you felt that this is the time for me, and you could relate to the convoluted universe, how did this whole knowledge start affecting your life or improving your life? How everything started to change for you personally? Because that's what I I guess most of the people who will be watching this would like to know, because they will be looking that personal link between the quantum and themselves. So if you could share a few words, that would be awesome.
Yeah, my journey was, back in that time, much like I think many, I wanted to have a session with the great Dolores, right? So I called the office, I get on her list, and I think at that time, her list was maybe 2 years out or so, maybe 3. And, but then I got to looking at her website and I realized that she taught the classes. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And it was, a little out of my comfort zone, in many ways, but I just thought, no, I really like her. Like, she's very genuine. She felt so humble. And, I just wanted to learn from her. Didn't know where that would lead, but I got myself signed up for the very next class. And so that was June of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I went down. I am in classes like that. I want to be in the front row. I'm that geek, right? But for some reason with Dolores, I'm like, I think I'll sit in the second row. I don't know about this, what this experience will be like. So, it was a nice sized class. I found my seat in the second row, and it was amazing. She walked in, and I mean, she had a presence. Like, you just turned, and there she was. And she walks up on stage, and she's teaching. We go back the second day, and I'm just like, my mind's fairly blown. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And she was large in charge in that classroom, and she didn't mess around. Like, you just stayed.
Yeah.
So the funny story on that is, the second day, somebody in class raised her hand and asked a question. And she just looked a little incredulous at them and said, I answered that yesterday. Where were you yesterday? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you made mom mad. And so the rest of the week, our row, we all sat together. If one of us had a question, we do like, a survey, like, hey, has she answered this question yet? And we go, no. And then we get, okay. Because you didn't want to be that one.
No.
And at first, my thought was, gosh, she's a little strict, or but as I got to know her personally, when I was assisting her and having some private times with her, what I really learned is that she just had so much information to share, and she didn't want to waste the time. Uh-huh. So she wasn't going to answer the same question 5 times, pay attention. Mm-hmm. Right. So I really respected that of her. And she was just a fabulous teacher.
Yeah. And again, you went into my next question. So I think maybe we are guided here a little bit. But while we are at the topic of meeting Dolores Cannon, you said you've been assisting her. So I assume that you passed all the level 1, 2, and 3, yeah? And you've been assisting her with the hypnotherapy?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was, I was very lucky, guided, I guess. After I took level 1, I came home and started practicing, and oh my gosh, my mind was just blowing, and went in and took level 2 as fast as I could, wanted to learn more. And my sessions were going really well. They were being noticed on a level that got to Dolores. And at that time, she didn't have level 3. That wasn't a thing yet, but she needed help with her wait list. Her wait list was growing by the years, and she really wanted to focus on the people that were most seriously ill. And so a small group of us were picked to be evaluated to take on some of her load, which was a great honor. And in that experience, we had to send in a session that we had actually done, and she and her daughter Julia would evaluate it, which was both an honor and incredibly scary to have Dolores's direct input into our sessions. Now, all of us thought, there's 6 of us in that group, all of us thought we were pretty hot stuff, you know. Our sessions were going pretty good, and here we are in the small group. But it was amazing. It was eye-opening, because what we found, we came into class and she looked at us all and she just did this. And we're like, what? And what we didn't realize is we all had gotten really off track in how she had taught us. And it was a great learning experience. And so we all got some pretty critical evaluation about what our technique was like and where we'd gone off the rails. And, you know, and her suggestions sometimes were so minute, you know, change your voice this way, don't ask it that way. And, you know, you could kind of think, gosh, just being really picky. But when I took her suggestions and I actually went home and got over my hurt feelings, my ego,
ego.
I started applying what she and Julia were telling me to change. Oh my gosh, my sessions got so much better, amazingly better. The quality of my sessions were astoundingly more consistent and just like Dolores's. So that's how level 3 got started. It wasn't meant to be another level. It was meant to help her out. But as time went on, then we created the level 3s.
Yeah. See, I mean, that actually creates, I mean, let's forget about the list, because that actually creates 2 questions. When I will be posting our video, I will obviously put an explanation a little bit more about what Dolores Cannon was doing and what she achieved, what she left as a legacy, which is enormous amount of knowledge. But obviously the quantum healing therapy was to either heal people on a physical level, but also there were the past life regressions, and sometimes the illnesses, either physical or mental, could be related to the past lives. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? How wide actually the quantum hypnotherapy can go to, in order to help us on different levels of our human life here on Earth?
Oh, yes. She was a master teacher on this. You know, when Dolores started, she wasn't speaking with the subconscious, the high self. I mean, that wasn't known yet. She started helping her husband, who was doing habits with hypnosis.
Yeah, losing weight,
that led
smoking.
Yes, exactly. And then that led to a lady they were helping to lose weight to spontaneously have a past life. And, you know, gosh, they just went for it. And Johnny, her husband, just kept asking questions. Like, past life really wasn't something that was known about in the Western culture at that time. So he deserves a lot of credit for that. So she started down the road after that, many years, really focusing on past life regression and learning different techniques. She did not have her own at that time. She started then to find that she thought she could create her own technique. In that, the access to what we call the subconscious, the high self, started to come through. And through that, these great depths of profound answers started to come through. You know, it wasn't just past life anymore. She was an amazing, inquisitive person, and she would ask a lot of questions. She would do a lot of research off of the answers she was given. So this just started this amazing domino effect. And as far as the healing goes, what we found out through her work is that I don't want to say all our body is for. One of the great important reasons this body is here is to give us messages. In a physical body, it will give us messages in the forms sometimes of injury or illness, discomfort, pain, accidents, which there are none. And so what she found in her work is that the body speaks a very literal language. And when we can understand the language of the body, we can understand what the message is. If we understand the message and change what we're doing, then there isn't any reason for the body to hang on to the symptoms. Therefore, they drop off. they go
The
away
healing appears, yeah.
because the symptom is there to open our eyes up.
Yeah. Yeah, what I've read in Julie's book recently, Julie Cannon book, is that subconscious is trying to contact with us through different ways, but if you are so stubborn and we do not listen, the only way for us humans is to give us the pain, which obviously will appear in the form of different illnesses or pains, which is absolutely amazing knowledge as well, what Julie included in this book. I'm halfway through. But just to summarize now, so if someone, I guess from my point of view, for someone who would like to either become a practitioner or have the quantum hypnotherapy done, first of all, you need to feel ready, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can, going off your gut feeling of, you know, this is something I want to explore and learn more about is the very best way to go, because that gut feeling is that connection to your high self or subconscious, right?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. No, I only meant that, do you think that this type of healing is for everyone?
No, I don't think it's for everyone. I think, you know, it's a way to help us expand our consciousness and our understanding of who we really are, our huge, greater selves. But, you know, just like Dolores was a teacher, there's many teachers teaching similar things. And, you know, you might be attracted to learn a different type of process. I might be attracted to learn this. And but in both journeys, we're learning what each of us needs to learn for our own highest goods, right? Now, Dolores's technique, you know, I am a huge fan of this process just because of the results I've seen in my work with it. But it's just a very complete process, I think, in that, you know, people, it's a big day, you know, it's a life-changing day. There's a potential of this being one of the best days in somebody's life when they have a session. That's how I look at it. And not only do they get to share what their life journey has been like, which very rarely do we get to share our life story with somebody who compassionately and non-judgmentally is listening. That's healing. But they come in with a list of questions that they want to have answered. And that list is usually both life and personal questions and health and physical questions. They are guided into this beautiful deep state of relaxation or hypnosis. From there, what happens is amazing. That part of you that knows everything, that loves you unconditionally, we'll call it the subconscious, has already picked the lifetime or the experience or the story, depending on where your belief system is, that it wants to show you to help you understand something very important about your current experience, this lifetime. They always tie in together. It's just the most amazing thing. And so the practitioner will guide you through that lifetime or that story to get all the most important information to help you understand more about your own journey. And then the real fun begins, because then we make that leap over to the subconscious. Not hard to do, it's so easy to do. And from that very deep space of relaxation, you can easily access this deep inner knowing. It is you, it's you opening your mouth, you saying the words. It's just that when you're so relaxed, that knowledge just seems to flow through them. And that's where all the answers to the questions, all the healing. And to me, the most beautiful and empowering part of that is it's not me giving any answers and it's not me doing any healing. It's you. And that, I think, helps people accept the information and the healing because it's coming from them.
I think it's absolutely amazing what you said. And I remember as a much younger person, even as a child, I remember this information either coming through the TV or some books, that we as human beings, we only use a very small percentage of what we are actually, of our brain, and what is actually capable to do. And I do believe, obviously, we have now this big spiritual movement, which I'm very happy to kind of, look at, and I'm looking at all those information. I became very spiritual myself the past 2 years, and I know there's no way back for me. I think it's amazing that through the work that Dolores invented, and now you as her students continue, is so amazing, because you are giving people the chance to actually use a little bit more, and you guide them how to change, how they can actually change their life. So basically they're still getting the answers from themselves, but you are kind of linking them with the higher self-conscious that is having all those answers. So I think it's so totally amazing. I have to admit that I've been in touch with Dolores Cannon website yesterday in terms of the becoming a practitioner. And I decided to ask this question because I know that a lot of people maybe would like to ask same question. On the website, it's listed that you can do the level 1 online. And however, the level 2 and level 3 should be done in person. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And you can do, the level 1 is offered both live through various times of the year, but you can do it online anytime. Level 2 is always live because there's a lot of personal one-on-one coaching with that one. And level 3 is very intense, and it has to be, it's only 3 people in a class. It's very small.
Right, because I'm only asking this question as well because I'm just trying to think what kind of answers people may be waiting for. Is that obviously, if I've seen that you are having the level 2 now in Miami, and for some who really are keen into deepen themselves into quantum hypnotherapy or quantum healing, and they live in Europe or like in UK, are there any practitioners with your certificates in Europe or in Great Britain that could maybe, that they do maybe this kind of courses here, or do everyone needs to travel always to your locations?
Well, only Julia Cannon teaches. People like myself assist, and she'll pull other, it's usually level 3 practitioners that are helping her. So let me think on how to answer this one. So there's the 2 choices for that first class, live or online. Yeah. They do try to put the live classes all around the world each year, trying to find a central location, in Europe, or, I think one's coming up in Africa, which is new. They just did Cairo. We're doing Miami. We're doing one in Bali, so they'll be kind of closer to that Australia, New Zealand area there.
They say Bosnia and Herzegovina as well in the email?
Yes, oh yes, Bosnia. Yes, that's coming up. So that's exciting. Now, the live classes, it's hard sometimes for people to decide which one do I want to do, live or online. So let me go over the pros of those. Online is nice because you can do it at any time. It's on your schedule. You've got plenty of time to get through the class. Now, when that online class got created, it's just, when I look back at it now, it's amazing how everything lined up. We weren't planning on filming Dolores doing a whole class, and just all of a sudden we had a cameraman there, and we're like, hey, why don't we just do this? And he just so perfectly, I don't know how much thought went into this because nobody thought it was going to be a class. I don't know if we knew it would be a class at that point, but he angled the camera up to Dolores up on stage, and it feels just as if you're sitting in the front row with her. And she's just looking down, and you feel like you're right there with her, So that was perfect. So the level 1 class is in great part those days that we filmed her. It's a whole class. So you do feel like you're there in class. Now, the live class is nice for some. Sometimes people like to have that connection with other people in the class. That's a beautiful thing. Everybody, Julie and I kind of giggle because the first day of level 1 class, everybody's kind of sitting like this, to themselves. after lunch, they're kind of like this. And the first morning or second morning of class, like they're already starting to make these really good friends. And then by lunch, the second day, they're like one big family, and it's so much fun. So it's, you know, it's fun. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, but they have this like-minded connection with this work. And so people just have these amazing friendships develop in these classes. The other nice thing about the live class is we put in 2 practice days. So on those 2 practice days, the whole class breaks up in a group of 3. And you take those 3 people during those 2 days, and you keep switching your role. So you'll have time to be a practitioner. You're going to do a session. You have time to be a client. You're going to have a session. And then the third role is as an observer, which is very great because you learn a lot by watching a session happen. And then the last day, after those 2 practice days, we come back together as a group, and those that want to share what happened in their session get up. Almost everybody wants to share. And if they, you know, had some challenges or they have questions, Julia and I are there to answer those questions and help guide. So that live format is really nice in that way. The online class is obviously less expensive. You don't have the travel costs and hotel and all of that. But we do really, really recommend that if you're going to do it online, that you do seek out a practitioner near you, if possible, and have your own session, because you really need it not only for your own well-being and get your own answers and healing. You want to know what it's like to be on that end of a session. So we really recommend that. Now for everybody, especially the online students, we have an amazing global QHHT forum of practitioners, and there practitioners will write in and say, you know, I'm new to this and here's what happened, what should I do? And practitioners of all different levels are going to come in and give advice and support. It's a really beautiful community, and I'm a moderator of that forum. So that's available for online support. And then we do these practitioner reunions now in these different locations, and sometimes people will just come for the reunions, just to be back in that kind of that bowl of love soup of friends and like minds. So there's lots of different opportunities. Just what's best for you.
Amazing. I guess one last technical question. If someone would decide someone who lives quite far away from United States or wherever the location is, if they would do the level 1, either online or live, is there any specific time frame they need to go into level 2?
No, you need to, so after level 1, what you're doing after that is gathering experience. You're doing sessions on friends and family. Friends of friends are great, because in every session is going to be a unique experience. Probably nobody is ever going to go to the same place that another person went to. I mean, it's just, that's what makes our job so much fun. We never know where the client is going to go to. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So you need to start getting some of that experience under your belt of what's it like to guide somebody through a physical life on Earth. What's it like if they're on another planet? What if they're not in a physical body? What if they're energy? All different types of experiences. So before you get to level 2, you want to have, I think they require at least 7 sessions under your belt. I personally would tell you I would do more, because you'll get more from the level 2 class. You're going to be asking a higher level of question. I personally would recommend 20 to 25 sessions before you go to level 2. Don't rush it. When I went to level 2, it was required to do 10, and that's all I had. And I didn't get a lot out of level 2, and I didn't quite get it. It took me, after I'd done many more sessions and was assisting Dolores, that I really started getting the value of what she was teaching in level 2, and now Julia. I would say don't rush it. It's not a race. I viewed it as a race, and I didn't serve myself well that way.
I don't blame you. You know what? I'm in a place where I'm like ready to get started. The only thing is, to me personally, is that just technicality of, you know, starting to learn how to become practitioner. but I absolutely understand, because I know how almost contagious Dolores and her knowledge was. And for those who understand and are kind of connected to it, you just want to get straight into it. And I absolutely get you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that makes Dolores's process, I think, very significant, because it's not hard to do a session. She's broken it down in her decades of experience. She just kind of handed us this golden plate of information. So we don't have to figure out a lot. But like Julia says, there's a lot of balls up in the air at once. And so the beautiful thing is, because of all of that, brand new practitioners, doing your first or second, third session, I would expect you're going to have a great session. You're going to give a wonderful session. It's just that as you gather more experience, then you get into kind of the nuances of all the aspects of giving a session. And, I've been doing this for 8 years. I've probably given well over 2,000 sessions. In every session, I am learning something new and checking myself and critiquing and trying to become better at what I do. So it's a constant learning, but it's so much fun. I just, oh my gosh, I think I have the best job in the universe.
I can tell. Oh, definitely. Okay, I have one last question, because we spoke a lot about Dolores. Thank you for also guiding us about the courses that are available. My last question will be about you. So we do know that Dolores left a big legacy, and she's been able to restore the so-called lost knowledge, which we all appreciate. In your own experience, did you manage during your sessions with your clients? Obviously, if you don't want to, you don't have to share it, but during your own sessions with your clients, did you ever manage to tap on something new that Dolores didn't kind of found in her sessions? Like, have you become...
Oh, that's a good question. Oh gosh. Okay, let me think on that. It's the first example that comes to mind of that is building on what was happening at the time that she passed in 2014. This was kind of a question back then. So back, I would say around 2010, 2012, I started in 2012. The session started to shift a little bit, and it was the oddest thing. Before that, clients would almost always experience a QHHT session in this kind of amnesia state, meaning that when they came out of the session, they usually didn't remember much, or just a little bit. That was normal. And then in 2010, 2012, there was a shift that started to occur where clients were saying after the session that while they were in the session, they still felt somewhat aware. That was so strange. We couldn't figure out what was going on. They weren't behaving the way they were supposed to. And even Dolores, this is a question for her. This is the last conversation I had with Dolores. I was helping her at her last class, and I was walking her down from her room down to the conference center. And we're like, what do you think is going on? And what she said is, I think it's that, we're evolving, and this has something to do with that. But, it actually, it was easier when the clients had this amnesia experience, for both for the client and the practitioner. And we were kind of maneuvering this new place. Everything in the sessions was staying the same except for that. They were still having these great experiences in other lifetimes, answering all of their questions deeply and profoundly, healing their bodies of everything. All of that was normal. What wasn't normal is afterwards they were saying they were feeling aware. What in the heck was up with that? So I have, and any practitioner has this amazing opportunity when we're in sessions. If my clients have answered all of their questions, I can't think of any more questions for them, but they're still holding the energy well, I go into interview mode with the high self. I'm like, Dolores, I want to know everything. So this has been one of my big questions, especially back then, 2015, we didn't have Dolores, so we got to figure this out. Because the bummer part was, if the client felt like they remembered, then they were kind of conditioned from Dolores, who said, you're not going to remember, that they would dismiss the information in the
Yeah.
sessions, although we knew it was solid.
Mm-hmm.
But if they remembered, then they thought they just made it up.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So what was this big mystery? So in these interview sessions that I get to have with the beautiful subconscious, what they have said over and over is that actually we're on this journey of awakening. And back in the day when, I'm giving you the scoop that I don't usually say in public. So this is for you, Don.
Okay. Thank you.
They say back in the day, this information had to start coming through. We had to start realizing that we're so much more than what we've been told, what we believed about ourselves, what authority told us we were. And hypnosis is an ancient art, and it's a beautiful, great way of tapping into this deep, deep knowledge. Mm-hmm. And people like Dolores were picked, who without a doubt had been using the art of hypnosis for lifetimes. She was a master at it as she started. Mm-hmm. And she would have the wherewithal to write books and to give lectures, and those would end up on YouTube, and you and I would actually accidentally click on them, and we'd be like, what? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So all designed perfectly, but they said, it was a great way to get this information flowing to help us wake up, because you can't make this stuff up. Where was this coming from? Mm-hmm. Right? But they said at that time, our brains weren't wired yet to be aware that we could be in more than one place at once. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we had amnesia. It was brilliant. It was so brilliant.
Simple. So simple as well.
So simple. And so therefore, that was the experience until about 2010. We seemed to hit a tipping point where the high selves tell me that we had to start feeling what it was like to be our high self in an awake and aware body. This is where we're headed. Mm-hmm. We're becoming this new superhuman where we can access all of this information by ourselves, awake, asleep, in any way. And so they say, because this is where we're headed, becoming able to access this information at any time, we have to know what it is to feel this, to understand it. Therefore, we don't get the free pass anymore of the amnesia experience. That was for that purpose, to get the ball rolling. Now we have to claim it. And one of the great ways we're doing that is in this deep state of relaxation or hypnosis, we're feeling aware. We're starting to kind of test out what it's like to be in this state of all-knowing.
I guess they were,
it's brilliant.
It's
so
amazing.
Therefore, people are feeling aware in sessions. Now it's happening almost every session. Mm-hmm. And so now what I do and what I teach the practitioners is how to help people understand that they're going to feel aware and that it's very good.
Yeah.
And here's what you do to help yourself through that so you don't get into that fear side of the mind. And it's easy to do. When you understand what's going on and how to help yourself through it, then it's very exciting because you are putting on those clothes of being your own high self.
I know. Amazing.
It's a leap in evolution.
And you know what? It just makes such a perfect sense. As you said, everything comes at the right time, even though the time doesn't exist. But at that time, when people been going into amnesia, as you said, the brains weren't ready to suddenly just take on a completely new programming and completely new knowledge. And maybe because of these big movements where people, we say waking up and they are getting ready, for this information and hello, there's something else above, and people opening up about the experiences they had in their childhood that earlier been dismissed by the parents or school or society and all. Now we are I feel we are feeling more brave to kind of admit, I experienced that. And what you said, it just aligns so amazingly, with this whole idea, there was the amnesia. Now you don't need that. You need to become ready, how it actually feels to be normally just connected to your higher self, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Suzanne. I know we are coming down to the end of our recording, but I have to tell you, I could probably continue this for another hour, and I do hope that maybe we will speak once more someday. I'm gonna just send you a massive love and massive thank you. I'm gonna stop the recording. And I'm going to include all your information on our page, if that's okay with you, because
Yeah,
maybe some
absolutely.
people would like to contact you, request a session, or find out a little bit more about the quantum hypnotherapy.
Well, it's been an honor to
I can't believe
speak with you today.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to speak to you. And actually, you know, I also feel so honored that actually Dolores came into my life also very unexpectedly. And now I can, you know, talk to people about that. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to stop it now.